because that, as we know, there are more users that are operating outside of the organization. They are operating in the untrusted areas. And once the attacker gets inside the organization, they're able to actually operate very easily because there's nothing that's stopping them from accessing other sensitive resources. The second bad assumption is that the idea of negative enforcement, the concept of detection, that if the vendor finds the risk first, then they'll provide a signature for you. Well, that's good for stopping known attacks, but it doesn't actually stop unknown attacks, attacks that nobody has seen before. And if you keep the sample size small, it makes it so that the vendor would not actually get the sample to create the signatures for you. There has to be preventative measures that would be taking action even before a malware researcher is able to get their hands on that particular sample. Remediation. I think remediation is often misused, and it's not security. Remediation is not going to actually get your data back from an attacker. It's not going to be able to take the credit card numbers back from the criminal operating, the group that stole all those credit card numbers. Remediation is a process, and you should instrument for being able to define what actually happened, but we actually have to be in front of the attack first, and thus make sure that we do prevention before we start thinking about remediation. I think that there's also a mismatch between policy criteria between what we want to do and what's actually enforceable. When you talk to your HR department, when you talk to your chief security officers, they might be talking about, we want to allow these users access to these applications. And then you talk to your network security people and say, can we do that? And they say, well, can you translate that to me in an IP address and a port number? That's a big mismatch because we can't define business policy in the same language that our network security people are discussing. So these are bad assumptions in security. I think that we also need to go back and redefine threat intelligence too, because that threat intelligence is not just big data.